What is going on, everybody? This is Slick from Breaking the Clutch back again with another Halo Wars 2 build order video. Today we've got a Jerome Mastodon build. This is one of my favorites for Rome right now. Jerome is one of my favorite leaders overall, as you can tell from the videos. A lot of you guys asked questions for it. So here it is. I couldn't come up with a good name for it. I thought of like Mastodon Stampede, and I was like, wow, that's super lame. And then I just didn't come up, and then like Mastodon Rodeo, but then there's Goliath Rodeo, so like I'm just gonna stick with just Mastodons. I don't know what to call it. So right off the bat, what you're gonna do is Jerome's quick hero opener. So you're gonna make a Jackrabbit off the rip, start with a supply pad. You're gonna upgrade that supply pad the second it comes up. It's really important here that you grab 2 sets of power crates in order to keep a smooth build. So immediately off the bat, I sent a brain to go grab one. So like I said, that supply pad's going to come up. We're going to do generator second. Build it right now. Upgrade the supply pad. Just like that. Jackrabbit's nearly complete. Now with the Jackrabbit, instead of running him straight out to the power crates like I did there, I just want him really to go out to that side of the map. Generally what I do is actually I'll grab supply crates first before I head out to that side. Supply pad third. Also for my leader power, I go victory mines. I actually love victory mines, especially in the infantry heavy meta that is right now. Might change here with the new patch coming out soon, but I bet you that it'll stay largely the same. What you do here is you grab those supply crates after your third building, so that way you can buy a mini, and then you sprint out to the power crates right around the same time. You'll have both your Marines done picking up their supply crates or power crates, and you need to upgrade a generator, and your supply pad needs to be built at the same time. So all 3 of these things. In retrospect, looking back, I've also done a mini base after my 4th building, and then what I'll do is I'll buy 2 mini bases before I build my 5th building on my base. And this is just to kind of keep everything smooth. What you want to do now is just grab as many supply crates as possible after you're guaranteed to have 2 sets of power crates. You're going to notice here that everything's pretty darn seamless. That's going to come up. You're going to build a mini base again, so second mini base purchased at 133. Jackrabbit, then from here you want to go scout after you grab another set of power crates or supply crates, whatever you can do. I like to just scoot over and just steal enemy supplies at this point. I throw a supply pad on that mini base first, and then I usually throw a barracks or another supply pad depending on what I'm going to be wanting to do. So you're going to notice here that the timing of my roam here is a little off because I built that supply pad. If you do open, see on Rift, I always open with Jackrabbit, but if you open with 2 Marine squads instead of a Jackrabbit, you can, generally speaking, get just enough supplies in order to build a supply pad on one mini and a barracks on another mini, and then you can still afford Jerome at the same time. So just keep that in mind.
What are we waiting for? Let's go.
Of course, so what you do as soon as that armory comes up and you can afford it, you want to start Jerome, throwing down a second supply pad over there. So I'm actually not going for a barracks against a cutter. A lot of you guys may be saying, what the actual hell are you doing? One thing I want to say is that if I don't go for snipers against his snipers, then that means I'm going to be a lot further ahead in the power game, meaning that I can get into Tech 2 quickly, or more quickly. I shouldn't say, it's not a guarantee that I'm going to be further ahead because I'm Jerome and I just spent 750, or what is it, 775 or something like that. I'm not going to do the quick math. I don't know the actual numbers, but you spend a lot of power as Jerome in general. So he's still pretty even. If he makes 6 snipers, then you're about in the same spot in terms of power spent. But snipers, even though he has a lot of them, they're 100% meant to kill heroes. So just having the, as long as Jerome's inside the Mantis, he's going to be totally fine. So anyway, from here, I also start the Mantis upgrade at the same time. And you're going to notice the second that Jerome is rolling out, I'm sprinting. I'm actually sprinting for a power node. So you're going to see I'm going to get aggressive with 3 Marines. You don't want to send Jerome by himself. I've done it multiple times where I just sent Jerome alone, and then he has died just because he's very easy to pick. Once that Jerome Mantis upgrade is done, you actually want to start a second generator, sack your armory and build a second generator. Like I said, grab these nodes. In this situation where there's so many Marines on my side, I'm just going to bring Jerome back, and the 3 Marine squad should be enough. Next thing I'm going to do is go for grenades, and that's actually a really good drop for the Mantis there. In most matchups, you really don't want to split your armies like this, but since Jerome is so strong, and these Marines are basically worth 1.5 with the inspo, inspiration is what I mean when I say that. I can just get aggressive with some of my army. So grenades on the way. As soon as you have 300 power, you want to upgrade that second generator. If you are in a good spot and your enemy's not pushed you yet, you usually upgrade the second generator first before you get grenades. But in this situation, he was pushing my side, so I got grenades as quickly as possible. So there you go, upgrading the generator now. constant Marine pump here for the rest of the game. Like I said, if you're playing against a different hero, you're going to want to opt in for some snipers in yourself. I shouldn't say different hero, a different leader that goes hero. You're going to want to opt in for some snipers. Like, let's say the second you see a hero, you're going to want to sack one of the supply pads on a back mini or on a base and start rolling out with some snipers of your own to deal with the situation. See, there we go. You had some of the snipers out of position, have some grenades. So from this point, I just noticed that, you know, he's got a really good vantage point. His snipers are shredding my army. I'm still at 48 pop because most of my army is rallying across the map. However, the Mantis is shredding kids from this range, so going to be killing a lot of his Marines, even though I'm losing some of mine. My goal is just to kind of force him to produce more Marines at this point. Like I said, just constant Marine pump until you're able to get into Tech 2. Grab power nodes. Yeah. So see, I just made it selected 3 Marines there. I just changed my mind and set it all there. Just try to grab power nodes. I should have had that middle node by now as well if I could critique my control. You notice I'm sitting at 500 supply. There we go. Make another round of Marines. The reason why you want so many Marines is because the best unit to put in a Mastodon, in my opinion, are combat tech Marines. And they're cheap. Once you get the upgrade rolling, it's really fun. Sorry, I'm passing 1,000 power now as well. I'm just kind of trying to dance around this and maintain it. Of course, for third leader point, I did go for Mastodon. I'm sorry, I didn't mention, but second leader point, I go for Time for Heroes 1. I never go Time for Heroes 2. I shouldn't say never. I rarely go for Time for Heroes 2. My reason being for that is that, you know, it just ups your pop to 60. Totally not worth it, in my opinion. Waste of leader power in the first rotation of the leader wheel. So just keep that in mind. Just go Time for Heroes 1. You know, you have Jerome, who's going to give you inspiration. You have Victory Mines that are going to give you inspiration. And you just need to stick to that. So you go Victory Mines, Inspiration, which is Time for Heroes 1, and then you go Mastodon third for leader points. You're also going to notice I did buy that base there. As soon as I was upgrading my base, I have 60 pop, so I can get really comfy. I throw down an air pad here, and then I rebuild my armory. Next thing I want to do is actually upgrade, since I already bought that base, I want to upgrade into combat tech now because I'm in a really comfy position. Once again, as I mentioned about grenades, when you're in a really aggressive position, or if you can get in an aggressive position, you want to upgrade the Marines as quickly as possible in the early game and at this point in the game as well. So grenades or combat tech is totally situational. If I don't have to get combat tech right away or grenades, I always upgrade my other buildings or something else in the meantime. So base is coming up here. As you can see, the timing on that's really good. I'm just kind of holding my control. I do have a unit on his side of the map scouting out to see that he does have the base. And here at around the 7-minute mark, now that I have that generator in production, I'm going to keep upgrading all my pads and start producing Mastodons. So Mastodons take a good amount of time to build, and they're so slow, so even if you're in combat, it's going to take a while for them to get across the map. But I already have combat tech Marines, which makes me feel like I'm extra far ahead here of Halo Slug as Cutter. So I'm just going to start producing Gales. The rotation is essentially like Marine, depending on how many Marines you have. Like right now I have 60 popping Marines. I have 16 Marines. So I'm just going to try to produce Gales and Mastodons. You want about 3 Nightingales and the rest in Mastodon pop. So the perfect number of Mastodons, in my opinion, is 6. I have seen more. I have seen less. They do work. It totally depends. Here I am actually calling my army back to deal with this engagement. Halo Slug's actually getting aggressive here. ODST drop my army is actually really good. In this standpoint, even though I do have combat tech, he does as well now. So I'm going to get Spartan Morale as my 4th point and activate it immediately in order to get aggressive and actually do some serious DPS with rockets. But in this situation, you know, I need to back up because I'm down to 25 army pop. And I've lost nearly everything there, and he could easily get aggressive on my side of the map. I do end up getting a Mastodon there at the nick of time, but that was certainly an engagement that I did not need to take. So in a good game, you know, a perfect situation, shouldn't say a good game because it's still a good game, but in a perfect situation, you know, you don't lose your army, you roll the Mastodons in once you have the army population and you get it. And I did save my Mantis there, barely. So now he's in a point where he did lose about half of his army pop. If I lost all of mine, then he certainly lost at least half of his. So that means he's going to go for power node control, which is a really wise play. So in the meantime, I'm just going to keep producing more units. Now you're going to notice that I actually start opting in for more Mastodons. It's because Mastodons actually tank combat tech Marine shots, which is odd because it seems that combat tech Marines in this meta do shred vehicles in general. They do, but guess what? Mastodons are damn strong. So here I am producing Mastodons out of my bases. and Marines out of my minis. Just kind of keeping that rotation going. I'm just going to manually select Marines, make sure I put them in here. Like one Mastodon with Combat Tech Marines full in it is just absolutely god tier. Just shreds things, especially with Gale support and the Mantis from Jerome. Here comes a big push onto my base. It actually is kind of worrisome for me, considering that he could easily take down my base, but I just got a really good ODST pick there. Gonna decide to just keep my army inside the Inspiration Aura and get aggressive. So now I'm going to lose this mini base almost guaranteed, so I'm not totally terrified about it, because even though he's killing that mini base, guess what? I don't make Mastodons out of it. So I'm just going to keep producing them out of my main and expansion, just to kind of maintain that pump, and then just try to fight off this army as best I can without losing any more units this time around, because I lost a lot. So here I am just continually just dropping in some mines. I actually did pick a lot of his army here as well. As I said, I actually did hit the Y button too many times. You're going to notice that I did accidentally not only cloak my army here, but also eject them from the Mastodon. And now I'm floating a lot of blue and yellow. From this standpoint, around the 10-minute mark, you want to have this base totally fortified. You want to have a vehicle depot potentially as well, or another air pad, and you can totally go into air from here if you really like to, because like I said, in a perfect game where nothing goes wrong, which never happens, but in a perfect game where nothing goes wrong, you do have, say, full pop with 6 Mastodons, and then whenever you start losing units, you can just swap into air, and then whatever they prepared for Marines, Mantis, Mastodon, they're not ready for Mass Hornet. So just keep that in mind as this goes forward. You're going to notice that I start essentially equipping the army to be the perfect situation. I have too many Gales right now, so I need to opt out of Gales and just produce Mastodons from this point. And I think I'm probably going to realize that. There we go. Throwing down another barracks, more Mastodons rolling out as well. So I've got 3 Mastodons, so I'm looking really good with all these air units. So I'm just trying to produce a couple more Marines. Need another Mastodon as well in this situation. And then once I fill all the seats in the Mastodons, then I'm looking really, really good. There's another Gale. I have way too many Gales here. Don't. Like I said, 3 Gales is like the perfect amount. Especially in the first like 12 minutes of the game. Once you start getting like 150 pop, that's when you can get more comfortable and opt into different kinds of units and leaders. So we're going to back up. They're not units and leaders, but units in general. So here we have all of these rockets flying out of the Mastodons. It's actually not true that they do this much DPS. It just looks very intimidating. It's very false. But Marines do the same amount of DPS inside of a Mastodon that they do outside. In this situation, I'm just going to get aggressive. He drops an ODST as he's retreating his army. There's a great little combo there, but the amount of Gales that I ended up having actually do extremely benefit me. Getting an ODST pump, or drop as well, is actually huge for me at this point of the game, because the more ODSTs that Cutter keeps alive, the more intimidating it is for me. Just constantly sending units out to grab nodes is very crucial for me in this situation as well. I need to stop making Nightingales, man. That's crazy. Looking back at this game, huge critique for myself. You noticed also that I did opt in for dispersion nozzles. If it's like 11 minutes into the game and you're playing against someone who's still going infantry and you are UNSC, opt in for some dispersion nozzle Hellbringers. They are so deadly, and of course, if I get up close and personal with my Mastodons, we will be looking delicious. So here we go. I'm going to have, what, a 4th Nightingale. I have 5 Nightingales probably in a second here. And then I have 4 Mastodons, and then my Mantis is getting upgraded every single time that I have 600 power. So I'm looking very, very good. Hellbringer's now rolling out as well, nearly 100 pop. Just fantastic. Luckily, even though he did take over basically everything, killed my entire army, he did opt for map control over pushing me. If he would have pushed me, it would have been more interesting. I probably would have had to lose that expansion and then get more creative with my pumps. But luckily, in this situation, he's just going for a mini base pick here, and so what I'm going to do is just get aggressive on it as best I can. I'm starting to sit on a lot of blue. Oh, and that Mastodon's going to drive right into mines. No, he's going to stay alive somehow.
The enemy has destroyed one of our buildings.
Halo Slug, whenever I play against him, does a really good job of just constantly harassing mini bases. A lot of players don't do that properly. You're going to see me lose a lot of Nightingales, which is totally fine, because guess what? Those units are prioritizing them. Here come the Hellbringers with dispersion nozzles. I'm going to start dropping mines in as well to kind of trap him in place. You also want to be very careful with your mines, because if you don't get to drop all 3 mines, and sometimes it'll glitch out and it'll let you drop 1 or 2, you do lose a lot of potential to kill a lot of units and get more inspiration. So here I am sitting on a lot of blue and yellow. Just going to try to spend as much as I can. He did hijack one of my Mastodons. Rude, first of all. Gonna pick that, and then I'm immediately getting aggressive. I'm also gonna get a Spartan too, so that's very unfortunate for him. Mantis is just that good. Now sitting at 1,000 blue. I spent all my money again, so that's good. All right, so we're maintaining it at least. Back to 97 out of 100 pop as well. I'm down to 1 Hellbringer outside of that. So just once again, as soon as you'll notice that both of us, whenever we maintain control, we just sprint out across the map and try to get power at the same time. So we're doing good. It's also really important, like I said earlier, to keep all of your units inside of this circular aura that Jerome is emitting. That will make it so that all of your units inside that aura are inspired, and they will absolutely shred kids. At this point in the game, I do have Omega Team on deck as well. After Omega Team, I go for Victory Turret, because Victory Turret is so damn good. There I am also upgrading my Mantis, that way he has more HP. Halo Slick does drop in ODSTs once again. He likes the combo. He does a really good combo. He drops in ODSTs and then drops in the missile strike as well. Does a lot of damage, a lot of DPS. Gales are now, of course, needing to be targeted on these Mastodons whenever I do lose them. Those units don't die, but they get super weak. But what I'm going to do now, essentially, is after I build up my army for like the 3rd time, I do actually start saving up for Omega Team. Omega Team is my absolute favorite leader power in the game, so using it is one of my favorite things to do in any game, especially even in a high-level competitive match. They are still incredibly useful, and it's also like similar to the, if I think about it a little bit, like Anders and her Retriever Sentinel as a timing push. Like the speed in which you can get that down is a very effective timing push, because generally speaking, players don't have anything to combat that early on in the game. If you are playing a very good Jerome game, then you actually will be putting yourself in a fantastic position to effectively get Omega Team at an early enough time. So totally have to set yourself up for it, but Omega Team early enough is fantastic. You notice here I did get that base, and I actually just walked back. This game has been pretty back and forth in terms of control. Of course, it was number one. My issue was that I defended my first push that was against me, and then I went and got aggressive on his side and lost too many units. And then he didn't get aggressive enough after he killed my army. So it's just been pretty back and forth. As you can see, the health bar on the Mantis is also extremely long. Definitely indicative of Jerome in his, big ego, if you will. We're going to send some units over to nodes at the same time, just trying to maintain control. Like I said, guys, general rule of thumb, I've said it in videos in the past, if you're grabbing a 3rd base, it's most likely possible that your opponent has a 3rd base as well. Here I am just rolling out across the map. Some of you might be cringing right now saying, Slick, why aren't you getting the troop capacity upgrade for the Mastodons, man? What is wrong with you? And my reasoning is simply that it's 700 power, even though I'm sitting on 3,300 blue and 1,800 yellow. Generally speaking, it's a big investment, and I don't just want to mass combat tech marines the rest of the game. Generally speaking, I start floating a lot of blue and yellow after I'm in a very comfortable position, so that I can just kind of tech swap if need be, and I like kind of leave a little bit of a gap in army population, and it could definitely bite me in the ass. Sometimes it has, but in this situation against Halo Slug, I know him very well. I play him frequently, so I can actually just commit to this style of play. Mastodons are 3 army pop. Well, that's also why I was saving money for Omega Team. Okay, that's what I was. I was trying to defend myself, but I'm just trying to be a badass with Omega Team. That's what I was doing. Here I am, more Hellbringers loading up. Mastodons on the rally. That's the problem, man, is they are so slow. Takes forever to get across the map. I got 4 Gales now as well, still stealing my opponent's node, and this is the engagement I want to have. Get the perfect drop for Omega Team, if possible. Just keep chasing the army. Here I go. Now what you want to do with Omega Team is drop in Spartan Morale and then time your ground pounds on infantry armies. Watch this, you'll see it. There's 1, there's 2, I'm gonna do a couple more units, and then I'm going to do a 3rd one on the bulk of the army there, and then my Mastodons are just going to rally in. So it's 4 Spartans versus 1 in this situation with a massive army, and then I'm also going to drop Enduring Salvo on my army and get aggressive into it, because it'll inspire all of my units in that salvo. Oh, that Spartan's getting 1 shot, Slick, that Spartan's getting 1 shot, Slick, that Spartan's getting 1 shot, run, thank you, go, 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 go. Spartan is going to make it away. Fantastic. It's actually super lucky. But in the situation, you cannot lose Omega Team. You cannot. You have to be super careful. But their speed and micro makes them essentially unkillable at a certain point in the game. So, going to be getting aggressive here on this last bit of army. And thus, you have seen Mastodons in a semi-competitive match against a semi-coherent player. I guess you could call Halo Slug. And this is how you use Mastodons as Jerome. So if you want me to do a more detailed breakdown of the quick Jerome opener that I just did there, it's literally what I just did there. But if you want more detailed explanation, more in-depth explanation in that situation, I certainly could tell you how to do it. It's very easy. It's certainly a very simple build that works with basically any hero, especially this one, which is the most expensive, where you go generator first. I'm sorry, not generator first, generator second after a supply pad, and you just get the hero out and his upgrade ASAP. It's super effective in a lot of different leader matchups. So then Jerome especially, you really have to do it, because in the early game, if you think about Forge, Serena, and Jerome, who all have heroes that can spawn without infantry base. So even though Jerome is infantry, his Mantis is a vehicle. Forge, Hog, Serena, Ice Cream Truck. Those three in this meta are really awesome to start with, simply because they can't be sniped. So just keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below what you liked about it. If you have any critiques, please let me know as well. I'm sorry about the audio mess ups in the last video. I definitely didn't mean to do that. I blame Scooty, who gave me Canadian gameplay, which had super loud audio, because Scooty is deaf, as most of you probably know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this gameplay. This has been Slick from Breaking the Clutch, and we'll see you guys next time.